Not really. You don't realize it as much. I think. The way I feel is that I don't really realize it as much. Yes, I have been guilty of chucking things when I can't find a bin, but because in public, sometimes you just don't think, and sometimes you're in a hurry, and things like that happen.
And speaking about being in a hurry, I've had people call into my radio show to say that, oh, there's so much stress in Singapore, we're always in a hurry, and that's why I will not be able to remember not to litter, to remember to clear my tray, to remember to give up my seat to an elderly person. Aren't these just excuses, Rodney?
Absolutely agree with you. They are mere excuses where this sort of behavior, right? Like I mentioned, and it's got to be spontaneous.
Okay, how do we make it so? We've talked a lot about the importance of education. What is effective education?
I think parents can play a very important part in the whole process. Okay.
But as you yourself said earlier, parents are bad examples in some cases.
So parents have to change their mindset to know that they have to know that whatever they do, they are the role model. It's going to affect their kids.
Okay, so let's get to the parents first, I have read somewhere that peer influence is powerful, but parental influence can be just as powerful. So let's get to the parents first, Rodney. What strategies would work here?
We have worked with Ministry of Education to propagate graciousness, and they're helping us in some of the ethics programs, the moral education that's in school. Now, some of this behavior, I guess, for example, in the bus, if an individual observes that there's another guy who's conveniently sleeping, and if I know, for example, that there's an elderly person coming on board, I would gently tap on the guy and give a smile and say, hey, there's an old man coming on board. Why don't you help to give up the seat?
That's a great idea.
Do it with a smile.
And be proactive,
and be proactive about it. Right?
Okay, but again, Singaporeans will say, oh, I'm too scared. What if he gets angry at me for being a proactive citizen? What would you do in that case? Would you stand up for someone else's rights in public?
Yeah, I would stand up for the other person if I were to see something like that happen. If the person were to scold me, then it's too bad.
I like your attitude, yeah.
Yeah, because, I have to stand up for what's right. And if this old person is going to have to stand throughout the entire bus ride, that's just not right.
Okay, we'll send a hidden camera out with you one day and see if you really deliver, okay? Because I think we really need to see if people do that. Oftentimes it's fear that takes over, isn't it? What about the question of culture? Now, we had a Facebook post that said that because it is so entrenched in our culture, it will take some time before we can make graciousness really an organic part of our lives. What do you think, Rodney?
We keep on coming back, many times that we talk to people, they keep on coming back to say it's a culture, it's a culture. When will the day come that we say, hey, let's change, let's be proactive and do something different?
We have to be less self-centered, like you said, we're so self-centered.
I think culture is something is over time, over years, to have a culture. But picking up a good habit is just like that. So you can pick up a good habit and then make sure you have this good habit to do it every day. And I think over the years, then you become your culture.
Right, right.
For example, we were able to fix the problem of taxi queuing and queuing for bus. How is it that we are able to do it?
How were we able to do it? Can we learn something from that example?
Yeah, for example, because we know that by queuing, first come, first serve basis, everybody feels fair, and this thing is done not because I want to do him a favor, but it's the right way to do.
I guess it's all about having a good buy-in. The person has to feel like by behaving well, I directly benefit too. By making other people happy, I will be happy too. My life will be easier too. Any other suggestions on how to make education more effective? How can we implement programs with this spirit well, practically speaking?
If I would make a wild suggestion, it would be to get Lee to speak up about graciousness. People will listen automatically.
Really? Everyone, including my 12-year-old niece?
I'm sure the parents will start telling the children, like M.M. Lee said so, let's all follow it.
What do you think of that, Pui Hun?
That is a great idea, and I think it can be very effective.
Okay, what about other strategies for the future, Pui Hun?
I think I want to emphasize on the ownership, because you own it, you want something to be better, and then you have to improve on it and doing the right things.
Perhaps some pride in our country is what we need, some pride in our environment and pride in our fellow citizens and everyone who lives in this country, including foreigners. Thanks for staying with us on Singapore Talking. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. We really appreciate your company. Many thanks, of course, to my guests today and all our studio guests who joined in a wonderful discussion. Join us again next week. We're going to be talking about social networking at work. Are you really working? Nicely done. No, don't be sorry.